the halfway point of the Dickies 500 Race 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Texas Motor Speedway. And from the ESPN pit studio, you watch Carl Edwards leading. He's opened up 4.7 seconds on second place Greg Biffle. And with Jimmy Johnson a lap down, we have seen this movie before.
Oh, we have seen it before. This is a long time to go before this race is over. Johnson does have time to get back in the lead lap, but you know Carl Edwards asking his crew chief, where's Johnson? How's he running? What's going on, Brad?
Absolutely.
You know, he's just smelling it. He wants to beat up Johnson right now bad.
He wants to put him down as far as he possibly can, but 166 laps to go. I'm just sitting back watching this thing because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, when that old checker flag falls, that 48 will be hunting.
Carl Edwards has led the most laps. He's led 105 of the 168 that have been completed so far. Just a couple of quick caution flags. Big story of the day. So Gibson tracking third from his.
Another characteristic, poise under pressure, and you could sense that during this recent radio transmission.
Jimmy, you were good there, man. We lap times there just a tick off the leader there. So you're doing really good, bud. Really good. You've been all day by far. Get you back on the lead lap. I have to work for it a little bit here, unfortunately, but we'll get you back on the lead lap and we'll be good.
Jimmy said recently one of the aspects of a championship hunt where he's much better than he was 3 years ago, handling pressure. He said he has to manage his own mind. It's become a full-time job. I spoke with Chad Knaus about that very aspect this morning, and he said he notices that especially in situations like this where he doesn't panic.
So Johnson right now running in 22nd place. He's the fourth car, one lap down, and going to need another caution, then give his pit crew another shot to try and get him up into that first car, not on the lead lap, to get a shot at getting back into the hunt on this thing. Let's take you up to speed. Cars just outside the top 10. We start with Shannon.
Well, Alan, I told you about that last pit stop where they added a rubber to this 29 car in the spring. It looks like it may have worked for Kevin Harvick. He restarted 12th and he's currently running 10th. Now, I did speak with his crew chief, Todd Barrier, who told me that these mile-and-a-half bank tracks are not Kevin Harvick's best tracks. They just haven't been able to put together a package for him. But next week at Phoenix, they're really looking forward to that race and looking for some momentum going into next weekend. Jamie?
And Martin Truex Jr. finds himself the farthest back he's been all race, 11th right now. He's in what they're calling the workhorse. This is the 11th race for this car. They felt if they had a good run, they would run it in Homestead again, but he's going backwards a little bit, chasing their setup. He's a little bit loose. Look for an air pressure adjustment on the next stop, Shannon.
Jamie, another driver who's on the move right now is Casey Mears. Restarted 16th, and he's currently worked his way up to 12th. He was really bad on entry all race long. They made a wedge adjustment on that last pit stop, and obviously it's working a little bit for this number 5 car. Mike?
Shannon, talking with Kenny Francis, crew chief for Casey Kane this morning, he seemed extremely frustrated. Asking him how the weekend has gone, he said pretty much the same way it's gone since the middle of the summer. They just could not get a handle on the balance of this race car during practice, shifting from loose to tight. Right now, it's still a little bit loose. They're trying to wrangle that car back in as the sun begins to set, Shannon.
Jeff Burton just came over the radio, told his crew chief, Scott Miller, I don't know what to tell you about this car. It just will not connect to the track. As you saw, his rear end just getting a little bit loose. He said, I have no grip and it won't turn, so he's really struggling with this 31 car. It's been a rough couple weeks for Jeff Burton. Dave?
Mark Martin passing him now in that black 8 car, saying I'm getting all the speed out of it I can, but running in 15th today, it probably won't be a winning day. But can I preview next week? Mark Martin is going to run Phoenix instead of Homestead. He switched with his co-driver, Eric Almirola, and Mark is going to run next week at the track he almost won at earlier this year, save for a late fuel stop. So tune in next week, Mark Martin fans. Mike?
Dave, when the 88 team left here in the spring, the one aspect of this racetrack where they wanted to be better is they wanted to have more of a tight race car. They were way too loose. Tony Eury said if Dale Jr. gives him a tight race car, he's tight early on, they're going to be in good shape because they have a much easier time loosening him up rather than tightening him up. Fortunately for the 88 team, what they're reporting, they're tight. That's good news. As the race wears on, they'll be able to loosen that race car up. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon still fighting to stay amongst the top 10. Car is a little bit loose in, loose off, but tight in the middle. Still a pretty good run considering going into the day, they had no idea what to expect. They weren't even sure if they could stay on the lead lap. They've been pretty much close to the top 10 all afternoon, Dave.
And Mike, a guy who just got back on the lead lap as a result of the Lucky Dog free pass is Tony Stewart, but still riding near the back. This guy who has led 452 laps here is probably not going to get there today. The car loose everywhere, and they've been working on it all day to try to get that condition out if they can. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. And Brian Vickers had been on the lead lap till just about 8 laps ago when the 83 car hit pit road for an unscheduled stop. Vickers now a lap down back in 23rd spot. So just past halfway, Carl Edwards leading Greg Biffle by 5 seconds, while Jimmy Johnson runs in 22nd place a lap down. More from Texas after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
In college, you weighed 4